Well, let's look at the other always ultra-prepared and ultra-professional Roosters. Mick, Trent Robinson, he has those standards and those principles. Yeah. Are they ready for another unreal season?
Yeah, look, you just look at their side, Von. It's incredible. You know, look at their pickups that they've got. Obviously, Brandon Smith is a big one. I think, you know, just like what we've spoken about with Eli Katoa, I think Trent Robinson does the same with Jackson Paulo. I felt like he... you know, was up and down at South Sydney. He was in the side sometimes and out of it. I think, yeah, Trent Robinson, he's big and athletic. Jackson Paulo and Robinson will work his magic with him. The concern, if I've got any for the Roosters, if you look at that back line, it's ridiculous. Like, in terms of their athleticism, their ability and talent. Yeah, Tedesco, Tupou, Swali's apparently had an enormous summer and been starring in the centres. You know, you throw Joey Manu into that, like it's as good as you can possibly get with a salary cap. My concern for them is, and it may just take some time, Brandon Smith, minutes and workload, playing every week at number 9. I felt like he was a bit clunky, understandably, in the trial period. His timing will come, getting into that Roosters system. And Luke Keary, yeah, that's... Luke Keary's had a few head knocks. We know that he's had some challenges again the last couple of weeks after a head knock at training, missed the trial period. I'm not sure that they can win the competition without Luke Keary. Like, they need Luke Keary to have a Luke Keary year. Like, he's one of the most dynamic ball players.
And Luke deserves to have a Luke Keary year.
I love watching Luke Keary play. So I just hope that we get to see Luke Keary all season, because when the Roosters get going with Keary in the side, they're so good.
Yeah, I think Luke's fit. Luke will be playing a big part for the Roosters this year. I think there's two parts to the Roosters in 2023. How they went out last year in terms of the way they lost to South, I think individually and collectively will play a part in the way they go about this year, because it doesn't matter what's said in and around the game, football is still football. You need to play football, you need to do the things that work and not necessarily win the argument as such. So I think that plays a big part. I think the other part is Brandon Smith. Can he be that balance? I think he is arguably the most terrier-like player in our competition, about see ball, get ball and blinkers on and gone. But can he still do that with having his eyes, you know, a little bit wide for a little bit of craft and getting the ball to arguably Sam Walker, who can do things off the cuff too. So that balance of Brandon Smith being the threat at dummy half, but also bringing the craft in to bring other people into the game. I think that's where they sit in terms of scoring points and that combination coming together. Because if they can put it together, Brandon Smith, Sam Walker, Luke Keary, Tedesco, there's a spine that you can bank on.
I think Radley's the key. I think they need a whole season from Victor Radley. I really do. I think he's the connector of that forward pack to that incredible back line. When they don't have Victor Radley on the field, they're a different side. We then ask guys like Jared Warrior-Hargreaves and Matt Lodge to become the ball players when they should be thinking power.
Those two were unbelievable. When they teamed up at the Roosters, they were fantastic. Matt Lodge was back playing some of his best footy.
Yeah, he's been tremendous since going there. So, yeah, Radley's the key for me. I really think they need a big season from Radley, and I think he's all one of our favourites, isn't he?
We love him. And it was wonderful to watch him really blossom in that World Cup environment as well. Just back on the cheese, his instincts obviously are unquestionable. How has he fit into the Rolls Royce that is the Roosters?
He lives 500 metres from Bondi. How do you think he's fitting in? He's spending most of his time at icebergs and everything down there. So, like, I don't think he's going to miss Melbourne too much in terms of the lifestyle, because he's in a very, very nice part of the world.
Tight leash. Tight leash.
We love having him in
He's going over to Trent's house for dinner every night.
Yeah, just to keep an eye on him. Now, concerns in the capital, Cooper. The Raiders were very disappointing through the trials. How much weight do you put on that? Is that a real indicator on what's going to happen for Ricky Stuart, or would he have looked at what he was working with in the last fortnight leading up to kick-off and say, righto, let's just start again, wipe the slate clean, let's focus on Premiership Rugby League?
I had high hopes for the Raiders leading into the pre-season because of what they did at the back end of last year. They got White and Fogarty together, Tarpany and Papali'i got back to what they were doing. They beat the Melbourne Storm on their home deck in week 1 of the finals, and you thought, you know what, this has got glimpses of their period time in 2019 and 20. But then their pre-season was underwhelming. Like, they got arguably one of the best forward packs in the competition. They got continuity now with Fogarty and Whiten, but defensively, they just didn't put it together. So, I came into this season more like really looking forward to what the Raiders were going to put together. A lot of confident talk out of the Raiders. You think in the press, they're thinking about building and they want to go after it, want to get back to when they played in the grand final. So, I don't know where they sit with me. I had high hopes, but geez, it was an underwhelming pre-season for me.
Have you spoken to Ricky? Do you know what they're planning? Were they a little bit let down by this pre-season?
I haven't spoken to him post the trials. I ran into him out at Belmore. Always good to see Rick, and he was in great spirits. I'm with Cooper. You know, like they've got world-class forwards. They really do. When you think of Joey Tarpany, Papali'i, Hudson Young, Elliott Whitehead, they're world-class players. They really are. Jack Whiten at 6, world-class. Key positions, real concern for me. Jordan Rapiner, wonderful player. I think he'll do a really good job filling in for Xavier Savage there at fullback. But then when you look at, Danny Levi out of dummy half, Jamal Fogarty, is there enough there to really accelerate the Raiders to improve? I'm with Cooper. I thought they were underwhelming in the trial period, and you excuse Jack Whiten out of that spine, and when Raps goes back to the wing, look, he's world class on the wing too, but so much inexperience there with Levi and Xavier Savage and Jamal Fay. Not inexperience, more just a lack of creativity, and I worry about their key positions.
Well, Ricky's been really open, saying we haven't really had a fair run with our spine all playing together because they've had so many issues, injuries, disruptions. They haven't been able to get it together. If they get that consistency, is that what is going to drive the Raiders towards a more reliable?
I think when you talk about inexperience or inconsistency in the spine, you're not necessarily talking about skill. You're talking about decision-making in pressure situations.
Yeah.
The only time you get that is through exposure.
Yeah.
So when to hit the accelerator, when to pull back, when to do a high percentage play up against a risky play. And those are the things that the good spines and the experienced spines have up their sleeve. When you come against teams that don't have that, they often make the wrong call. And then they put themselves under pressure and the defence doesn't hold up. So, I'm with Mick. I think they tried Seb Chris in the trial. At fullback, he got caught out of positions at different occasions. So there's a lot to work. There's a couple of teams that need a big 2 weeks from when the pre-season to round 1 happens. Going to need a big chunk of work to improve, and the Raiders are one of those.
I think the Raiders to get going confidence-wise, if they can play off the back of their forwards, if that can be their kickstarter and their igniter, if they can play off the back of Tarpany and Papali'i and play offload footy, unpredictable footy, Whiten kick into that left-hand corner with his kick chase. His kick chase is the best in the game. Then I think that they can build momentum through the season. But if they try and outsmart sides with skill and set pieces, I don't think that they have the class in their key positions to be able to do that. Again, I excuse Whiten from that, but
Ricky did that last year. They were on the skids last year. Halfway through the season, Fogarty out, weren't playing well. They basically gave the keys to Tarpany, Publi and Hudson Young with the offload game. Promote the ball, get second phase, and they turned it around. They got into the final.
And beat Melbourne week 1. Like, they were fantastic. Don't worry, Ricky and Madge will have them firing out of a cannon for round 1.